Tales of the Caballos by William H. White. Part 2 is about the Depression era. Part 2, Chapter 2, Buster and Willie. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Thank you. Willie Dohit was a local boy born and raised under the shadow of the Caballo Mountains in New Mexico. He claimed to have been given a map by some Jesuits who wandered up from Mexico and befriended him. The probable real story is much more sinister, although never proven. Willie Dohit was a telegraph operator in Hot Springs until he found gold in the Caballo Mountains in or around 1929. In the book 100 Tons of Gold, Willie claims to have successfully located a catch on the eastern slope of the Caballo Mountains with the help of a sextant and surveyor's equipment. It is commonly theorized that what Willie Dohit actually did was track Jack Renolds into the mountains, shoot him in the back, and then take his maps. For more information on the Jack Renolds story, see Part 2, Chapter 1. Jack Renolds' body was never found, but his leather jacket was found with a bullet hole in the back of it. Willie almost admitted to Miss Perez that he, Willie Dohit, was indeed responsible for the act, although it was never proven. Willie took 2 newly found bars of gold and went to a hotel in Hatch, New Mexico. He had plans of going into El Paso the following day to sell the bars. As the story goes, that night, Willie was denied entry into a poker game. He was so incensed that he returned to his room and took one of his gold bars down to the poker game, tossed it on the table, and said words to the effect of, "If this is what I think it is, it should buy me into the poker game." Well, Willie got what he wanted, and the rumors spread throughout the town of Hatch of the gold found in the Caballo Mountains by Willie Dohit. The next morning, around 500 people showed up at the ranch where Willie had been working when the gold was found. The crowd was unruly, and some even had to be forcibly removed from the previously quiet cattle ranch. In the meantime, Willie had been taken prisoner and was being tortured by his captors to force him to tell where the gold was to be found. He was relieved of his gold bars, but the abductors eventually let him go after several days of torture, including being hung by his scrotum with baling wire. Willie never lost his testicles, but in later years he enjoyed showing off his scrotum, which hung fully 8 inches lower than it should have. Willie Dohit had learned his lesson, but it was too late. Everyone knew he had found gold in the Caballo Mountains, and many were watching for him. Willie knew that this area was too hot for him after his abduction, so he went to his uncle's farm in Albuquerque to hide out for a while. It was here that Willie met Buster Ward, a cowboy who had been raised on the eastern slope of the Caballo Mountains and knew the country intimately. Buster knew the cave location just from the descriptions given by Willie. At his first chance, Buster headed for the mountain and quietly removed 6 bars of gold from the cave. Buster then took them to Douglas, Arizona, and sold them. Buster's luck ran out on his second trip to the Caballo Mountains when he was captured, tortured, then shot and left for dead. The details of his survival are not well known, but survive he did, and soon a partnership was reached with Willie. Buster was to get 1/3 of the gold by being Willie's bodyguard. In May of 1930, Buster and Willie quietly came into town at Hot Springs and borrowed the car of then Judge Doan. The two quickly loaded 11 bars of gold into the car and headed west to Lordsburg, where the gold was to be sold. About 10 miles out of Deming, New Mexico, the two were stopped by trees fallen across the road. The two were again tortured and the gold bars taken from them. During the lull in the torture, both Willie and Buster saw a chance to escape their tormentors. A Santa Fe Railroad freight train was passing close by, and the two ran for it. Willie made it, but Buster's luck ran out. His legs hit an upright switch, which threw him under the train. Both of Buster's legs were severed. Upon seeing this happen, the abductors decided to make themselves scarce. Willie Dohit is credited with saving Buster's life by quickly applying tourniquets to his severed legs. Buster was sitting up smoking a cigarette when help finally arrived. Willie had one final run-in with these outlaws, two of which were reputed to be deputy sheriffs in Donna Ana County, New Mexico. This time their torture was effective, and Willie agreed to show them the gold hoard. Willie did this knowing that he had guns stashed in the cave. Upon seeing all of the wealth, the four assailants were so enthralled by the gold that they did not see Willie slip away. Needless to say, none of the four were ever seen again, but both Willie and Buster had warrants issued for questioning in Donna Ana County, New Mexico. These warrants were never served, and the two made themselves very scarce for a while. In 1931, both men came back to the mountain. Buster had been fitted with artificial legs and could move around almost as good as new. During the next years, it was reported that the two moved about 10 truckloads of gold out of the Caballo Mountains. Both of the men changed their names and moved from the area. Willie was finally located in California in 1978. He made several trips back to the mountains for short periods of time. Willie died of natural causes sometime in the 80s. The exact date is unknown at this time. It was reported in the Book of 100 Tons of Gold that Buster moved to Arizona and died of natural causes soon thereafter. Jerry Cheatham, the grandson of Doc Noss, reports that he located Buster in Southern California in the 90s and visited him on various occasions. It is believed that Buster is also dead of natural causes as of this writing. As for a final note, both Buster and Willie's estates at the time of death was worth about $32 million each. Up next is Part 2, Chapter 3, Doc Noss.